In April 1940, an invisible cage slammed shut around Sweden. Officially neutral, the country was suddenly surrounded on all sides. No ships could leave, no supplies could get in, and in an instant, the lifeblood of the nation, its coal and oil, was completely cut off. With the coldest winter in a century fast approaching, Sweden faced a silent catastrophe. Without fuel, the factories would stop, the trains would freeze on the tracks, the cities would starve in the dark. The enemy wasn't marching across the border. It was already inside the house, and it was freezing. The government issued an ultimatum that history almost forgot. They didn't mobilize tanks, they mobilized the forest. They drafted an army of 300,000 ordinary citizens. Clerks, students, factory workers, and tailors, ripped from their lives and sent deep into the brutal wilderness of Dalarna and Norrland. Their mission was simple, but brutal: cut down millions of tons of wood. Fail and the country dies. For city boys who had never held an axe, the first weeks were a living nightmare. Temperatures plummeted below -40 degrees. In these remote timber camps, survival was measured in cubic meters, and it was a brutal psychological game. The men were paid on a strict piece rate system, receiving roughly 3 to 4 Swedish kronor per cubic meter of wood. For seasoned lumberjacks, it was a living. But for the students and office clerks who could barely swing an axe, completing just 1 cubic meter took an entire day of bone-shattering work. Worse, after the military deducted the cost of their daily food and camp lodging, many of these young men were left with almost nothing but frozen toes and bleeding blisters. But it worked. This massive, manual labor force kept Sweden alive. The wood they chopped didn't just heat homes. It was converted into charcoal to power the Genghis vehicles. The tractors, the ambulances, and the entire Swedish military ran on wood. It was a mobilization of sheer human willpower. When World War II ended, the world celebrated the great battles of steel and fire. But in the shadows of the North, a nation's survival was secured by 300,000 men armed only with saws. The forgotten army that kept the lights on. If you want to uncover the real, hidden chapters of history, subscribe and leave a comment below. What would you have done? See you next time.